Hi, Greg. Nice to meet you. First of all,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. So, could you tell us about what's happening in Sunny Isles yesterday? It was some arrest of the activist. What
Yeah.
is really going on? Tell us.
Well, I think as many people have heard through Channel 10 News, a commissioner was arrested for disrupting a PTA meeting.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. At the meeting, there was controversy about the PTA, the past PTA, some of the goings on with that past PTA. And, I would say that the person running the meeting, the current president, gave a good heads up about what was going to happen. There were multiple PTSA representatives there to explain the situation to everybody. And I think they suspected possibly that there could be some questions or disruptions. They wanted everybody to be calm. And as things progressed, after they had given a warning of please behave, there were many disruptions. And then when the commissioner, Fabiola, began to voice her discrepancies, disruptions, they gave her multiple warnings, 3 as they warned, and she would not stop. And at that point, they called the school police that escorted her out. And what I saw on the news as well, the Miami-Dade police cuffed her and arrested her.
Do you really think it's supposed to be like an arrest, or is something the other way to just stop her in this case, or I don't know, maybe some warnings that say, okay, we just want you to get out, and I don't know how it works.
They did. At the beginning of the meeting, they said, if you disrupt the meeting, we're going to give you 3 warnings.
Mm-hmm.
They gave her 3 warnings. And at that point, children were, at that point, I guess they're not used to seeing what happened. People, parents yelling, and they were crying hysterically. It was an upsetting situation. And they gave Fabiola the 3 warnings, and she would not stop. And then I guess the president had no choice but to follow through on her threat. If you disrupt the meeting, they're going to call the police, and she did.
I read some comments over the internet. Some people say her actions looks like Antifa actions, or like some radical left Democrats actions. What do you think about this? It looks like this, or doesn't?
I think what's going on in the country and liberal Democrats, it seemed to be that type of an agenda. Not so much in that meeting, but what has transpired in Sunny Isles since our mayor became mayor, Miss Larissa Stuyvesant, the current, let's say this commissioner, Fabiola, Joseph, and the others ran against her, but these 2 seemed to be very aggressive in their comments about that. They were Goldman supporters, who I believe, in my opinion, is a radical liberal following the Biden agenda, and they have continued, unfortunately, the battle with our current mayor rather than fighting for the city. Not fighting, but doing their job as a commissioner for the city.
Right against of the next election is coming up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is one more point about Fabiola. She's talking about the school money, right?
Yeah.
It's about 1,200 or maybe more, and this was her concern actually. Do you think this is the really concern raised up on the city commissioners' conversations on this time?
No.
Is it really important, or this is like a created?
It's always important for anyone in a position of power, responsibility, for the school, for the government, whatever, to be held fiscally responsible for how they're spending the money. There's always leeway in different people saying, I don't think it should have been that, I should have been that. Whether it's illegal or not, that's another situation. At that time, look, I think, my own opinion, this continues to be a political agenda of trying to take the current mayor down, whether it's Fabiola, Joseph, I think, with other people involved. Because what happened with that PTA, there's a big thing about towels and the $1,200 and how this money was spent. The person that was president at that time was the person that took over as president, Joanna Rabinovich. She oversaw the spending of those funds, said nothing at that time, and now Fabiola Rabinovich have escalated the situation to suggest that the mayor, who was on the school board at the time, did something inappropriate. Look, it just seems like a vendetta. I don't know, but what I do know is that the PTSA investigated the situation, and they were going to report on it before the whole thing turned to a chaotic situation. And they were going to tell everyone that, get an overview of what was done, and nothing was done inappropriate. But I don't think they wanted that to come out. I don't think so, because why wouldn't they just sit back and hear the report? And if they had objections about the report, they could have voiced that in a civil matter rather than having the police involved as they did. But
that probably because of two looks like a victim, I think, because they reach the decision, they reach the goals. Because what I saw in the internet, it looks like it's like a political victims. So they cover her, they take it off that big conversation with city commissioners, and it was posted on a only date, for example.
Look, I don't think the police are the soldiers of the PTA, of anyone there. The police arrest people when they break the law.
Right.
The police are not someone's arm. This is not communist country where someone controls the police and tells them what to do, right? And in all fairness, not that they deserve some special treatment, but this was a commissioner. And sometimes politicians do get special treatment, yet they arrested her. So she had her commissioner shirt on. She invoked, I'm a commissioner. Now, our prior mayor, Goldman, when she had some accident, you might remember some years ago, her husband invoked, my wife is the mayor. Does that mean you get special treatment? It doesn't work that way. So, look, the police were called in because she was given 3 warnings. She continued to disrupt the meeting. Children were hysterical. They weren't stopping. And it is possible that in a situation like that, someone could have gotten violent. I don't know. But they did the right thing to end the meeting and call the police.
Thank you, Greg, so much
You're
for
welcome.
this conversation.